How does a family drama, played out on the global stage, arrive at a moment where its most determined peacemaker must confront the deepest rifts within the House of Windsor, with the very future of the monarchy potentially hanging in the balance? The grand tapestries of the British monarchy are once again trembling, not with gentle breezes, but with the unmistakable vibrations of a looming family showdown. The corridors of Windsor and the remote, windswept estates of Scotland have become the staging grounds for what could be the most significant royal reconciliation, or indeed, the final, permanent fracture of the House of Windsor. At the absolute centre of this unfolding dramatic crucible is the Princess of Wales, Catherine, who has quietly but firmly assumed the role of the ultimate royal diplomat and peacemaker within the family. Sources close to the inner sanctum of the royal household suggest that Catherine is currently mounting an intense, deeply personal campaign to persuade her husband, Prince William, to agree to a monumental and highly anticipated meeting with his estranged brother, Prince Harry, and his wife, Meghan Markle. This proposed encounter is set against the backdrop of their imminent and highly publicised return to the United Kingdom, a journey that carries immense emotional weight and marks the very first time their young children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, will set foot on British soil since the historic summer of 2022. The Princess of Wales reportedly believes this presents a poignant and high-stakes opportunity that the family simply cannot afford to squander. The gravity of the situation has clearly reverberated all the way to the highest echelons of the institution, prompting King Charles III to take the extraordinary step of convening a rare, deeply private family summit. This gathering unfolded over dinner in the secluded sanctuary of Scotland, away from the prying eyes of the global press and the relentless glare of public scrutiny. This was no ordinary social gathering, but rather a carefully orchestrated council of war and peace, attended by the absolute core of the working monarchy. The king himself, alongside Queen Camilla, Prince William, Princess Anne, and Prince Edward, were all present. This select group of senior royals spent hours discussing the strategic and emotional implications of the impending Sussex arrival. The king, it is understood, desperately hopes that this concerted effort could serve as a vital, foundational step toward finally mending the jagged fences that have divided his sons for years. The atmosphere within the Scottish estate was described as a complex mix of profound apprehension and cautious optimism, as the monarch sought to unify his closest advisors and family members before the inevitable media storm erupts upon the arrival of his younger son. To truly understand the staggering stakes of this potential meeting, one must look back to the last time the two brothers, once considered an inseparable duo fighting the pressures of royal life side by side, actually stood in the same room and looked into each other's eyes. That solemn moment occurred nearly 4 years ago, amidst the profound grief and global pageantry of Queen Elizabeth II's state funeral in September 2022. On that historic day, the world watched as William and Harry walked shoulder to shoulder behind their grandmother's coffin, an image of superficial unity that, in hindsight, masked a deep, roiling ocean of unresolved resentment, unspoken anger, and profound emotional estrangement. Since that day, the silence between the brothers has been deafening, punctuated only by the explosive revelations, literary criticisms, and media interviews that have flowed continuously from the Sussex camp across the Atlantic, leaving wounds so deep that many royal commentators believe they could never heal within this lifetime. Prince William's reluctance to engage with his brother is entirely understandable to those who comprehend the rigid code of duty and loyalty that governs the life of the future king. For William, the betrayal felt over the past several years was not merely personal, but rather an existential assault on the very institution he has spent his entire life preparing to lead and protect. The criticisms levelled against the monarchy, against his wife, and against his father created a formidable barrier of mistrust that William has been fiercely unwilling to dismantle. He reportedly fears that any gesture of warmth could be misconstrued or later weaponized in the ongoing media narrative that has so relentlessly scrutinized the family. Yet, it is precisely this unyielding stance that Catherine is now working so tirelessly to soften, approaching her husband with the unique perspective of someone who understands both the immutable demands of the crown and the fragile necessity of familial love. She reportedly believes that allowing the rift to harden into permanence will ultimately inflict greater long-term damage on the monarchy and on their own children's future than the temporary discomfort of a difficult, emotional confrontation. The presence of young Archie and Lilibet on British soil adds an entirely new, deeply sentimental dimension to this complex royal equation. The children have been raised far from the ancient palaces and ceremonial traditions of their paternal heritage, growing up in the sunny coastal enclave of California, largely isolated from their royal cousins, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. For King Charles, the situation is particularly heartbreaking, as his reign has been continuously overshadowed by this painful family division, preventing him from fulfilling the traditional role of a doting grandfather to all his descendants. The opportunity to see Archie and Lilibet, to hold them within the walls of a royal residence, and to foster even a fleeting connection with them is said to be a primary motivating factor behind the king's desire for peace, a sentiment that Catherine has astutely recognised and championed within her discussions with Prince William. During the intensive discussions that took place over that rare dinner in Scotland, the dynamics between the senior royals highlighted the diverse perspectives that exist within the modern firm. Queen Camilla, always fiercely protective of her husband's health and peace of mind, has consistently advocated for a cautious approach, wishing to shield King Charles from unnecessary stress while supporting his ultimate desire for family unity. Princess Anne, renowned throughout the realm for her sharp intellect, no-nonsense demeanour, and unwavering dedication to the crown, is said to have provided a pragmatic, duty-oriented analysis of the situation, emphasising the need for absolute clarity and boundaries if any meeting is to occur. Prince Edward, representing a more quietly supportive and traditional viewpoint, reinforced the importance of maintaining the dignity of the royal household while leaving a small, dignified door open for reconciliation should the Sussexes demonstrate a genuine willingness to respect palace protocols. As the dates of the upcoming visit draw closer, the tension within the royal palaces is palpable, with aides and courtiers working tirelessly behind the scenes to manage schedules and ensure that any potential interactions are handled with the utmost discretion and security. The public anticipation is reaching a fever pitch, with royal enthusiasts and critics alike debating whether Prince William will ultimately heed his wife's counsel, or if the scars of the past will prove entirely insurmountable. Catherine's role in this crisis cements her position as the true emotional anchor of the contemporary royal family, a woman capable of navigating the treacherous waters of intense personal grievance and high-stakes global diplomacy with equal grace. Should she succeed in bringing the brothers together, even for a brief, private conversation away from the cameras, it would mark a historic triumph for her diplomatic skills and a monumental turning point for the British monarchy. The broader implications for the House of Windsor are profound, as a successful reconciliation could finally diffuse a public relations crisis that has plagued the institution for years, allowing the King and the Prince of Wales to focus entirely on their constitutional duties without the constant distraction of familial discord. Conversely, if the visit passes without any form of contact between the brothers, it will send an unmistakable and definitive signal to the world that the division is permanent, establishing a cold reality that will shape the narrative of the monarchy for decades to come. The world now watches with bated breath as this deeply personal, yet profoundly public, drama unfolds.